Okay everybody, so I've recovered from my hangover for today, so I can now do this video on outsourcing. So of course outsourcing, well, some questions to ask anyway are why do you do it and what is it? Now there's so I'm just patting my dog by the way, but so there's an expression IRACUS which stands for increased revenue, avoid costs and improve service. Now, one of those three things, one of those three reasons is going to be why you're going to outsource. Now, outsourcing, what it actually is, that is when your company actually provides some service, but they might be very inefficient at it. So it's actually more cost efficient if you have somebody else do it for you. Of course, if you happen to be so brilliant at a particular service, you might reverse outsource. That means other people are getting you to do their work for them because they are inefficient. But that's out of scope of this discussion. So, moving on. So, what's the process involved? Well, for a particular task, or be it a single task or an ongoing task, somebody realizes that obviously you are going to do it inefficiently, and that's going to lead to an efficiency study. So if it's an ongoing task, you might be leaking money, basically. Somebody notices this, and either way it's going to lead to an efficiency study. Now the efficiency study basically means, well, there's people in the industry I believe are known as the razor gang. Kind of a cool little nickname there. But I believe an external consultant pretty much will come in and they'll find all of the areas of a particular department that is doing a particular task. They'll find all the areas that are wasteful, and they'll write up a little report which may recommend that you outsource that particular task. After that's been done and you've decided to outsource, you must write up the specifications, what you actually require to be done by the outsourcee. Now these must be very, very specific indeed. So basically it's what has to happen, what time it has to happen by, even things well, I had one example, like you might outsource, if you're for example a gardener, you might actually outsource mowing the lawns, and you actually have to specify how many millimeters that the grass may actually be allowed to grow to, and what the shortest it can be is, and so on. So again, to the tiniest wee little detail, you have to be very specific in writing up the specifications or the requirements. Once you've done that, of course, you put out for tender. You advertise to different companies that you are looking for somebody to do the work for you, according to the specifications. Now, you might have exactly 1 month to, you might give exactly 1 month for all of the outsourcee companies to put in their bid, say how much of it they can do or what they can't do and so on, how much they're going to charge you for it. And once all of the bids are in, you do a little analysis as to which outsourcee companies are going to be satisfactory, which ones you can use, and it may be more than one. It's likely going to be 2 or 3 or even more. And once you've done all of this analysis, you have to document it, of course. You need to be able to give a reason as to why you chose which companies. So yep, you produce the tender evaluation report document, and once that is done, then you actually do the contract confirmation. So basically that is bringing in the new service and throwing out whatever the old one was. Now the contract confirmation will also have in it like the terms of the contract, like the period that the contract is valid for, terms of renewal, a start date as to when all of this work is expected to begin, and so on. Contract confirmation is also known quite cutely as the stitch-up process. Personally, I'm a bit of a fan of that nickname. Once that has happened, there will have to be an audit conducted to make sure that the whole outsourcing process so far has actually gone according to all of the rules. Now, the rules must be very strictly followed. If they are not, then somebody, basically speaking, will be in trouble. So there's an audit, and then there's contract management. So basically make sure that your requirements, what you need to be done by the outsourcee, is actually getting done. And there's no there's no problems or troubles or anything, because you're managing it constantly. Now you might ask, so why would you want to manage the thing? I mean, surely there's not going to be any troubles. Well, that's actually a very good question. So let's consider, why do projects fail? Okay. Now, sometimes the requirements are just too general or improperly understood. For example, lifetime fitness. There's a URL there if you wish to check it out. Another cause of troubles or problems is poor management, as in the Australian Customs Service Integrated Cargo System. Again, there's a URL there with a bit of a case study there, if you wish to check it out. Some other reasons is just poor communication. If you're outsourcing overseas, there may be language barriers or time differences. So communication might be a big cause of trouble there. And sometimes you just do an improper cost analysis. Like all of the legal fees involved, all of the, drafting up the actual requirements, the specifications. This all costs money, of course. And if you underestimate the amount of money that's going to cost, then basically you'll actually, you'll either lose money or simply not gain as much money as you had expected. Hence the failure of the outsourcing project. Okay, now, so that being said, me and my group actually looked at some tools. I actually looked at Rescue Time, which is not a tool that's written here. That's mostly because it doesn't really help you to organize any kind of outsourcing project. So, that being said, Rescue Time is more so. Rescue Time is really just about actually clocking how much actual work you're doing each day, how much leisure time you're spending, and all of that. So it's really seeing how productive you are being. It might help to measure your communication, the time you're spending communicating with the outsourcing company, but it doesn't really help to organize any projects. So here in this recording, you can see I've basically gone to the website to see what it's all about, install it there, and so yep, this takes some time. It's just looking at all the, what it does. And again, it doesn't really help you to actually organize any projects or anything. It really just monitors perhaps how much you're communicating with people. It might actually log what you're doing in another software, which is maybe perhaps project related, outsourcing related, but it in itself does not help you to manage any kind of project outsourcing or anything. So skipping ahead a little bit to about here. So here you'll see I'm basically about to download it. And of course, I clicked the $72 per month or whatever option there. Obviously, for a demonstrative video, I'm not going to do that. You'll have to excuse my poor sense of humour there, but I just had to throw that in. And okay, so there we go. I'm about to download that and install it. Skipping ahead a little more. Here's an interesting bit here. So of course now I'm actually going to I'm actually going to install it and set up a few settings and whatever. It's actually quite easy to do, as you'll see here. There's not much to talk about here, but so yep, there we go. Set up your rescue time application. Okay. Now let's skip ahead a bit. Okay. So you can set up what you consider to be distractions, what you consider to be productive software usage, and it will actually monitor everything that is a distraction or being productive there. It gives you the option of ignoring adult content, which personally I think is ludicrous, because clearly not being productive then. But anyway, so all in all, very easy to install. It's more so how to use it that is actually not so easy. So I think you get the point there. So that's enough of that demonstration, I think. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, here we go now. And that being said, for the next video capture, I'm actually going to, for that part of the presentation, because I'm quite busy myself, I've got things to do, I have a previous agreement with my dog that for certain remuneration he may take part of the presentation for me. So that being said, I'll leave the presentation in his hands. And hopefully you can see the dog there. He will take the next bit of the presentation. This is actually running rescue time. You'll see that it doesn't actually do much, but my dog Chips will explain more about it. And I'll be back. Chips, sit. Now, would you? Hey, stay. Okay, so yep, we're back again. Well, I don't think I need this. I need this. Anyway, so as you saw, Chips took half of what he was supposed to take there, so I'll just give him a bit of a smack over here. That's what I promised him, according to the contract, outsourcing contract. So yeah, did a pretty good job for half of it. Luckily for him, I'm a pretty easygoing kind of boss. And I think I'm done with him for now. So, as you saw, Rescue Time is very easy to install. Doesn't actually do much, it just kind of sits there in the background tracking statistics and whatever. And now, to actually get off Rescue Time, one thing that, well, to go back in PowerPoint, we so going back to why projects fail, I did forget to mention one important part to one thing that people must know is that when you outsource, the outsourcee is responsible for the particular task, while the outsourcer actually maintains accountability. So if something goes wrong, it is the company that is doing the outsourcing who is really in trouble there. Although the outsourcee is obviously responsible, it's actually not their fault if something goes wrong. So that was that's a point to remember. Getting back to Rescue Time. Excuse me. So here's, well, you saw the Rescue Time, the trial. It just does nothing. It just runs in the background. But how it's actually useful to you is you simply open up a web browser, go to the Rescue Time website, and you'll see that in a second. Like, there we go. So you open up the Rescue Time website, and it tells you, how much you've been running Rescue Time, and in that time what you've done. So obviously I've used VLC Media Player. I've used Windows Explorer, Firefox, and I've partly been getting on Rescue Time. So it considers that I've had a lot more entertainment than using utilities or business. But that's really all there is to it. So again, it doesn't really help you to actually plan any projects or outsourcing. It just helps you to, track who you've been communicating with and etc. So, in my personal opinion, it's actually quite useless. That being said, some tools that we have looked into, tools which may be used for project management and outsourcing as well, of course. There was Rescue Time, which I haven't listed here, but there's Basecamp, Rike, Active Collab, Clocking IT, BMC Remedy, Jira, Asana, and Trello. Now, unfortunately, Jira, Asana, and Trello we only realised are quite late in the piece, so none of either me or my group had any chance to actually look into those, but the others have been looked into. So Basecamp, your projects allow you to do lists which can be assigned to people, allow to-do lists, sorry. Projects listed as lists or cards with favorites at the top. It allows hiding of content from clients, projects can be archived or created in a template, and is relatively inexpensive. Active Collab, you are able to view the user's tasks, you are able to view other users' tasks, and progress. For first-time users, there's a project called Getting Started, so that helps the beginners. It's available as a mobile application, and however, the downside is it is relatively expensive. Reich, it allows for subtasking. I forgot a G there, you'll have to excuse that, but it has a team task page, but each user also has a private workspace, which does not impact on the team task page. It's just private for them. It has a notification center, which will send out emails for appropriate events and whatnot. And Reich comes in 3 versions. There's free, there's professional, which allows for maybe 5 to 15 users at however much per month. And there's enterprise. I think professional is about $15 per month. Enterprise will allow thousands of users, but it's I think $50, or for more users and more space, more memory, it's more like $90 or $99. Okay, clocking IT, you can create Gantt charts. The leader can allocate tasks to users and set priority and dependencies between the tasks. A timeline shows when tasks are created, started, and completed. You can actually download your project, so it can be available in offline mode, and this particular software is free. So that concludes my presentation. I'd like to thank my group's mentor, Aditya, for all of his guidance, what to look into. I'd obviously like to thank my group members for their contributions into my presentation as well. And of course, Associate Professor Isaac Belbin's whole attitude towards this course, I think, is somewhat lacking. So a sarcastic thank you there. And there we go, that is my presentation done. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you learnt something new about outsourcing, and yep, that's in